All right, everyone, welcome back into another fantasy golf video. Going to be breaking down the Wells Fargo Championship here for you guys, giving you guys the preview, the top plays, the lineup process, and a first look build from the 9 to 5 lineup optimizer. Also going to be touching on a little bit of the Myrtle Beach Classic, hopefully giving you guys some outright bets that you can be on. We are getting some great odds there as well. But with that, let's go ahead and get into Quail Hollow, the course that Wells Fargo is being played at. So just looking at, guys, we have seen this tournament in the past. We have seen this course in the past, so we do know what to expect from this track. Now, the biggest difference that we are seeing with the Wells Fargo Championship this year is, unfortunately, it's going to be an elevated field event. So it's only going to be a 70-man field event, and it's going to be a no-cut based event. That is really going to change how this tournament typically plays, especially statistically. Okay, we know that in no-cut events, what do we want to do? We want to be looking at golfers that can score because we know that every golfer is going to get 4 rounds. Well, this is a course and a tournament where it typically is a harder scoring track to score on. And so typically we're looking at like bogey avoidance as a key stat. So it's definitely unique in that aspect. And maybe we don't do as much of a studs and duds approach this week as we typically would for a no-cut event. I still think, given the pricing that we have, we are going to be able to do that. Now, I'll get into that in just a second, but let's just go ahead and look at golfers that have the best course history here at Quail Hollow. And so just as an FYI, for course history, we are looking at 2019 and not 2020 because, well, this tournament did not take place in 2020. So we are going back to 2019. As hopefully you guys know by now, when we start to go past year 4 and really after year 5, course history data is pretty much statistically irrelevant. So we want to be looking at really the last 3 years. Course history number 4 for me this week will just be the cherry on top because it's slightly still relevant, but for the most part, doesn't really matter. But looking at the golfers that do have the best course history, well, we do have Rory, a former winner. Xander has played extremely well here. Tommy Fleetwood has played really well here. You have Max Homa, who for the most part has played really well here. An 8th, first, 1 miscut, and then a first. So really, again, with this event this year where we don't have to worry about a miscut, like, yeah, fire up Max Homa this week. It makes a ton of sense. But we are gaining a lot of golfers that have at least played this tournament a bunch. So that is something that we really don't need to worry about. The course experience is going to be very high on most of the golfers in the field. So I'm a little bit shocked. Look at who's the top in recent form rank. Aubert as the top in recent form. That's a little bit shocking because we look at the make cut streak that Xander's been on, 45 straight make cuts. If you guys are unfamiliar with the 9 to 5 model, it really takes in both safety and upside. That's why Siwoo Kim and Alex Noren were number 1 in the 9 to 5 model last week, and like plays like Jason Day and Jordan Spieth, who have been a little bit riskier, were not. Okay, and that made last week very easy to not be on Jordan Spieth and Jason Day because, well, they were just not as good at plays. Whereas Alex Noren being the top play in the 9 to 5 model, we saw 3rd place finish. Arguably had a chance to put the pressure on and maybe potentially set himself up for a victory on 18, but he didn't make a birdie on that par 5. I was tilted, as you guys can tell, but Noren, guys, 4th best in the field in recent form rank. How was he not in the Masters? It is crazy. 15 straight make cuts, just been a stud. Now, do we want to be on this week after being in contention last week? Tough to say for sure, but obviously we know this field is loaded. Let's go ahead and take a peek at StatFit. So again, guys, this is kind of a weird week when it comes to data because typically this is an event where you want to look at effective scoring, which is that 9 to 5 combination stat of it's basically predicting both safety and upside. That's basically that stat right there. But we have ball striking, greens gained, you could look at stroke gain approach, and then bogey avoidance. Again, this is typically a harder scoring track. You want golfers that are not going to make mistakes, but with it being a no-cut event, you could also potentially just throw that out. If you guys are someone that's making your own 9 to 5 custom model, and I'll get into this in a second, I'm going to be doing studs and duds approach, but if you wanted to toss in birdie or better percentages instead of bogey avoidance, by all means, go for that, okay? It makes sense because, again, no-cut event, you want players that are going to be scoring. And I'm like 95% sure that's a no-cut event. I looked everywhere online, didn't see any single event saying that it was going to be a cut-based event like it was in the last signature event. I'm so sick of these signature events, by the way. I don't think we need to touch on specialists. That'll be something to bring up for the Myrtle Beach Classic. Let's go ahead and get into the top picks this week. So basically every single week I was telling you guys, Rory is overpriced. We cannot play him at that price. I was saying that up until the Zero Classic, which finally it paid off because he got a 1st place victory at that event. So it's kind of nice to be on the plus side of that take. But it's crazy. He is definitely a little bit too high priced, I would say. But at the same time, with it being a no-cut event, with it being an event where we want to do studs and duds, we can easily fit him into our builds with Xander as well. And we know that we're going to be playing Xander pretty much. He's top playing the 9-5 bottle, coming in, checking all the boxes. Xander just almost seems like a must play. Again, because of the event, because of how well he's played, it's very difficult to avoid him. He's finished 2nd and 14th at this event, 3rd best course history rank in the field, 2nd best recent form in the field. Long-term wise, basically there, and short-term wise, there as well. So like across the board, just stellar place, 1st best specialist, best staff in the field. Yes, he's the best pick in the 9-5 model. It's going to be super easy to fit him into your build. Now, the biggest issue that I have with Xander has been the fact that he's coming in off of an 18th place finish. That is literally it, okay? Kind of off of a disappointing Masters tournament where he finished 8th, but besides that 8th, 5th, 2nd, he's been playing extremely great golf. We know he's a stud in no-cut events as well. He's just an easy, logical play. Again, in a no-cut event with soft pricing, very soft pricing. It's super easy to fit him into our builds. The question is, do we want to pair him with Rory? Rory coming in off of that victory. Now, it's not going to show it here for you guys on DraftKings. It was the Zurich Classic. It was the team event. But I do think we should take that into consideration. He's going to be a good play as well. And obviously has played well at this track in the past. Now, if you are not playing Xander, we got Wyndham Clark, who's the 2nd best staff in the field. He's been a little bit too hit or miss, but again, no-kit event. Who really cares if he's been hit or miss? Aubert has 0 course history. That is knocking him a little bit data-wise. But with him, it hasn't really mattered. I almost need to make it another data rule in the 9-5 model where it's like, if it's Aubert, it doesn't matter that he doesn't have course history, because he has just been a stud regardless of what course it is. Obviously, being a rookie, he doesn't really have that many starts on a bunch of tracks, but he has been playing extremely well thus far this season. Really coming in, checking all the boxes. 2nd best specialist, best in recent form, 3rd best staff fit. It makes a lot of sense to just go with him instead of maybe Rory. And I will say, I really like him as a future bet for PGA Championship or the US Open. Like if he plays well here, kind of like Wyndham Clark last year, like it makes sense why he'd be someone we could look at in one of those majors. It kind of feels like, I guess, Kyle Morikawa. Like I think that's a good feature bet to make. And then another player that's been a little bit hit or miss has been Max Homa. Okay, we've seen some top 10, top 15 place finishes from him, but really been inconsistent. Now this is going to be a course that he loves, obviously. 3 top 10 finishes, 2 victories, 1 miscut. Just not the best staff fit, not playing the best right now, but this could be a track where that kind of corrects itself. But really, this kind of proves as to why we are probably just going more studs and duds. Like we can play these top 4 guys and then just kind of ignore the rest from that point on. We are getting a lot of good mid-tier options, and that's kind of my worry here, guys. Cameron Young's looking like a good play. He finished 2nd 2 years ago. Matt Fitzpatrick looking like a good play. Siwoo Kim looking like a great play. Now, Siwoo Kim's more of a safe play rather than an upside play, so I do worry about that. But I'm going to have some exposure to these guys, but I'm not going to go crazy with it. Again, we want to be maximizing the optimal builds that we can make, and so we don't really want to mess with these players. Alex Noren is someone that we don't need to get to this week, and so we got Tony Finau popping up in there. But Corey Connors is the 3rd best pick in the 9-5 mile. This kind of feels like the last signature event that we had where Cameron Young was priced this way. And he was kind of like the easy, chalky play everyone got on, had a great first round. Then he was not in contention by Sunday and just had a terrible Sunday round. That could happen with Corey Connors as well. Like he's a great play on paper, very safe play on paper. There's a lot to love about him as a play. I personally, this is like where, well, 1 week where I'm just like, I get the data loves him as a play, and I get why the data loves him as a play. Been super consistent, been super reliable. I just don't think we need to get there again because we want to be doing studs and duds. I'm going to keep echoing that. Adam Scott, now he's a player that I might go out of my way to play. Does typically play well at these type of events. 5th place finish here last year. Kind of been more safe though as well. So he's someone that's, we don't really need to look at. Jaeger's fine. Harris English I like as well. Like this is where we're getting the soft pricing. Adam Shank's been playing well, has had some upside finishes here, finishing 9th and 13th. We look at Chris Kirk, who strong staff at 8th best in the field. And so that is where this week definitely gets unique. Andrew Putnam's been good enough recently. But we start to look at some values under 7K. And this is where I'm like, we have super soft pricing here, guys. So we got Taylor Moore, Austin Eckroat, and then we also have like Lucas Glover that we can get to. Lucas Glover's made 4 straight cuts in a row now. Taylor Moore, sure, coming in off of that miscut at the Zurich Classic. It's a team event, kind of has been playing really well besides that. Top 30 or better in all the key metrics that we're looking at. Love to see that there from him. Has good course history here. Need him to produce for my best balls as well. He is someone that's going to be an easy play, I think, this week. And so, like, lineup process-wise, I think after Xander, you are just going Taylor Moore. It's just the logical play, again, given the nature of this event where you want to chase studs and duds, because chances are he's going to outproduce his price tag. And chances are he'll do that, right? But he'll also then finish close enough to some of those other players that are $1,000 more expensive than him. So if we can hit on Xander and potentially Rory or Robert, a play like that, or Clark that really outproduces other mid-range plays, we are going to be up on the field. that's the approach that we should be rolling with. And so we also see Eckroat here, who, pretty strong play across the board as well. Actually, a little bit of a better staff hit, a little bit of better recent form as well. The only issue with him is that he finished 64th at this event last year. Only one start here, course history-wise. That's why Taylor Moore's getting a slight bump compared to Austin here, but still a strong play. Really just been a strong, reliable player. Check out that miscut 9 events ago, and he just looks like a great play on paper as well. Clearly seems to be underpriced. Clearly someone we can be going out of our way to roster. And then, yeah, from there, Lucas Glover's fine, has course experience, hasn't exactly played well here. Kurt Kitayama's fine. Andrew Putnam's fine. Like, those plays are all plays I'm going to be on in some capacity. Adam Hadwin seems good enough. People are going to like Jake Knapp, I think, this week. Brennan Todd has that good course history. Pavon is decent. I will say Nick Taylor's price is really a little bit shocking. I know he hasn't exactly been playing well, but he is someone that can randomly pop and get a victory. Has played well at this track in the past as well. 15th, 26th, 54th place finishes. So that's kind of a weird one as well, especially coming in off of a top 10 finish. A little bit strange there. So then lineup path-wise, we have 8.4 left over. Okay, we could do fair and balanced. We could do studs and duds from this approach, but we're going to go Aubert just to see what that leaves us with. 7.4. Now, I do like Tom Hoagie a lot. Shanks the fine play. Harris English I like as well, but I don't know. Do we just go with Andrew Putnam? He hasn't really let us down in these spots. Now, I know it's not the best course for him, but I kind of feel like he is someone that's going to just outproduce his price tag. You could go with Lucas Glover, who's been playing well. I'm going to go with Putnam for this example. 8.1 left over. Could just go Corey Connors. Again, I worry about his upside. And this is where we could easily just fit in Rory and kind of say, oh, well, like we're going to really pay the premium, try to get that victory locked in. Obviously, 2 of the favorites and go from there. Aubert I like, but just try Rory. The only thing I worry about Rory is like this is a week before a major. If he doesn't bring his A game, is he really going to be like, gearing up to play well for 4 rounds after that? That's my biggest worry with him. But 6.6 left over. I mean, you could easily get to Todd, Pavon. Those are all fine. Jake Knapp, people are going to be on. Like, that's an easy lineup approach as well. So I do want to run the 9-5 lineup optimizer first, and then I'll show you guys kind of the custom model approach that I'm going to take as well. Okay, so here's the first look build that spit out to us, guys. Max Homa, Cameron Young. That's interesting. I didn't really see that. Fitzpatrick, Corey Connors. So it is doing more of a fair and balanced approach. I personally don't think we need to do that. Now, this was based off of no mins or anything like that. Let's change it. So we'll do 30% max exposure. Okay, we'll spread it out a little bit here. See if that changes this a little bit, and then I'll do the custom model approach that I want to do. So it does really like Max Homa this week. I kind of get it from a lineup standpoint, but again, no cut event. I want to be forced into more studs and duds. But when we do that, we are getting a little bit more Xander, 10%. I want to be on him a little bit more. Fun nugget about Hideki is he's been relatively bad compared to how he's projected to play in a week before a major. He typically uses it as a tune-up event. But yes, what I want to do is I really just want to do studs and duds. Like, this is really all I care about, especially if I'm doing like 150 lineups. Like, maybe half will be doing it in this nature. So this is basically players that are above 9K and below 7K. So you can make some slight adjustments to get on plays like Corey Connors a little bit. Some of those 8K plays, like you can bump up their projections, but let's just do this. So we're going to export this data right here. Then we're going to upload it to the optimizer. So export right here. Then we go in and we just click upload data here. You guys can kind of see it on the screen. And then you're just going to upload that CSV file that you just downloaded. Click save and we're good. And so as you guys will see, it's now prioritizing the top end plays, and then all those other plays, not so much. Now, if we want to be on someone like Siwoo Kim, we can bump his projection up to like, I don't know, 118, because he was someone that was popping up like, maybe 5, because again, this is to do studs and duds. I don't want to go too crazy with it. And then, yeah, the data really likes Corey Connors, so I don't want to completely ignore that. So we're still going to be on him a decent amount, 10%. But let's say if we're doing 100, let's do 75 lineup. And so definitely interesting. It's getting us more JT Poston, Kurt Kitayama, Cam Davis. That is fascinating to me, but still getting a lot of Eckroat, Taylor Moore. So yeah, Hideki, I don't want to be on that much. I'll adjust that. But you guys can see it's definitely spreading it out enough, but still getting us a lot of Xander. Not as much Rory as I'd want. So one thing I'll do here real quick, 135 for Rory and then like 130 for Xander. I'm telling the data I want to be on those two the most. Like I'll do 140, or I could just lock them into like 40% of builds as well. And so that's a little bit better. I'm locking in Rory and Xander to 40% of the builds, and then it's just going to be kind of optimizing from there which other plays we want to be on. So going to give us a lot of Kitayama, Taylor Moore, Eckroat. Like that's I really like this now better. So that's probably what I'm going to be looking at. Now, real quick, I do want to get into just the Myrtle Beach as well. Myrtle Beach Classic, that is. So I am recording this before the salaries are out and a lot of the odds as well. But just looking at DraftKings Sportsbook, we are getting a lot of good odds, especially for someone like Kelly Craft. So Kelly Craft is coming in ranking out as the second best pick in the 9 to 5 mile. Really good stat fit. These are going to be more general stats. We have never seen a tournament played here at Myrtle Beach. It's not Myrtle Beach. It's what's the course name? I don't know. It's a slightly weird course. It's played in South Carolina. It's a Robert Trent Jones course. I label it as a TPC style course, but we just don't know what to expect. So we're going to use more general stats. Some people are probably going to mention like comp courses to use. Guys, this is why I made the specialist data. Like, we don't need to fuss around with maybe potentially finding the best comp courses. The specialist data is going to include all the unique characteristics for that week's tournament. The location of it, the amount of bunkers. There's a lot of bunkers, kind of tighter fairways. Par 71, slightly longer, but not too long track. Bermuda greens. There's like 6 water hazards in play. That's all being factored into the specialist data. So I am going to default to that a lot more as well. But I just wanted you guys to see the top plays in the 9 to 5 mile this week, so you can potentially gain some pretty good edges on DraftKings Sportsbook. Remember, we were able to hit Bryce Garnett at 90-1 on a secondary event as well earlier on this season, and came close in the last one as well. So I wanted to get that out to you. But that is going to be all for this video. Getting closer to 1,000 subscribers. Keep that up, guys. I do appreciate that. So if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, do that. That's actually a way where I can start making money on this channel to really start making it worthwhile. I'm happy to give you guys free advice. I love talking golf. That's just another way to kind of get rewarded for that. So if you guys have enjoyed this channel, make sure to give a like and subscribe. Do appreciate that. If you guys want access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, head on over to 9to5sports.com. They're available for just $10 a month. Including that is also going to be prop tools as well for both PrizePicks and Underdog. That's going to be all for today's video. Thanks for watching. Good luck this week. And as always, let's keep cashing.